Welcome to Animal Audit Corner. Today, I'm bringing you the cooking segment. Now today, I am going to bring you the French toast again, only I'm going to have everything toasted. My bread is this time around toasted. It wasn't soggy the last time, so we're going to try it this way. And we are going to also make a bean salad. Okay. So let's get started. First, of course, you know, we're going to put in 1.5 cups of plant-based milk. This is 1.5 cups, believe it or not, because it's at the tippity top. Okay. We put this away. Yeah, last week I felt like I fell flat on my face, even though it was together, but I don't know how you guys had it. That's the thing. I don't know if it fell apart on you or whatever. So I decided to do it again, only this time toasted. So then with the 1.5 cups of the plant-based milk, we're also going to add 2 teaspoons and a half of cornstarch. Yeah, since it's not since it's not eggs, and I definitely don't cook with eggs anymore. Even though some vegetarians do eat it, others don't. So I'm trying to go vegan, and I cut out eggs due to the fact my cholesterol went up. I decided to cut it out altogether. Cholesterol went down. So, plus it has to depend how much eggs you're eating. Okay. Here's number 2. And then the half. Here it is. Now you're going to need a small whisk, but if you don't have it, fork will do fine. And there's the 2.5. Okay. Each time, since I don't have a whole lot of room here, I'm just going to put stuff away every time I'm done using it. Okay. All right. Let me get my fork. We're going to whisk it up. So if you don't have a whisk, the fork will do fine. When I was growing up, my mother, actually, she never had a small whisk. And of course, I don't think they were around then. And because I don't remember seeing a small whisk when I was growing up in this little girl in the 70s and into the 80s when I was a teenager. So here we go. And of course, some of you who are teenagers and small children, you probably think of me as a granny by now. And oftentimes there are women my age that are grandmothers. But the grandmothers in Scientology and other cults, they're stuck in them, and they are being abused, especially in Scientology. And if the celebrities like Tom Cruise, Jenna Elfman say otherwise, do not believe them because they're lying. And of course, you know, this is an anti-cult show, so in the cooking segment. It might pop up from time to time, and don't worry, I'm going to make sure it's not boring. But at the same time, I'm still learning how to use everything myself since I don't have a crew. And I also have ADHD, which I don't mind sharing it since disabilities come in many faces. They can even be a newscaster that you see every day. Only they might or might not admit that they have it. If they do, then they're not going to say anything because that could cost them their job. Just by having a disability, sometimes it would cost people jobs. So we're going to whisk it up. All right, and then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now this is at the bottom, so in case I don't have enough, here's my backup. Okay, so one. It just went over the edge, that's all. Yep, it's empty, so guess what? I'm going to throw this in the sink and rinse it off. You have to rinse off everything that is empty. If it's plastic bottles or a can, even they do take cans too. And the reason for that is animals can get into it and just make a big mess. Of course, that's them because guess what? They live out in the wild, so those things happen. So if you don't want any animals going into your trash, rinse it first. Okay, you whisk this up. Each and every time you add something in, whisk it up. Okay. So it can have no lumps in it, especially if it's cornstarch. If it gets too lumpy, then it's hard to work on. So each and every time you add it in, whisk it. Okay. Let me get my pan. Okay. This time around, my pan is a little bit more bigger. Will it fit in more than one? Yeah, it can fit 2. So, and this recipe would make about 5 French toasts. And I know I did this last week, but it sogged up and was hard to work with. I got lucky and they were together, but I don't know if the rest of you were lucky. So we're gonna do this. I wanted to do it all over again, only this time toasted. So we're gonna see what happens. Okay. And then we're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla. I mean, not vanilla, cinnamon. You know what? My career as an actress, through 33 years of trying, I did succeed because I had 3 gigs a year through my 20s up to 27. Got an agent both times. And then something happened when I come here. It was a con artist I fell for, asking for money. My agency did not go for it. One of them yelled at me. So then I got discontinued. Plus, I was in the wrong place. I'm not in California, New York, but I'm not going to disclose the area I'm in either. So, all right. So, when you get into the business, make sure you're in New York or California. But although you can get some gigs out in other states, but usually they're usually in cities, but also They are small roles, but although there is theater, but other states like Rhode Island or Iowa, Wisconsin, they really don't have it as much. So, but the bigger cities do. But however, I never had YouTube growing up, so this is when I first broke into the business. There was no YouTube around, so I was so excited when I actually wanted to have my own show and participate in trying to get rid of a cult, because it's hard to get rid of a cult since the Constitution guarantees freedom of religion and freedom of assembly, meaning they can practice any religion they want. And that Constitution guaranteed my church to actually have sermons in Armenian, which is a Middle Eastern culture. It's right above Turkey. I'm also part Turkish because my parents were born in Turkey. But however, yeah. So so that guaranteed my church to be having their sermons in any language, in having our sermons in Armenian. The Constitution guarantees free speech too, which Scientology is depriving everybody of, especially their own. So cults normally, they rob you of your constitutional rights. So if you still want your constitutional rights, get out of the cult. But actually, some of them are harder to get out of. But in Jehovah's Witnesses, if you want to leave, you can. But they disconnect you from all your friends, and they could disconnect you from your family too. And Scientology does that a lot. So we're going to whisk this up. And at the same time, I don't want my channel to be boring, so I come up with this. So yeah, there wasn't YouTube around to actually jack up your career just a little bit. And in the industry, if you want to be in the entertainment industry and you want to be a talent, it's tougher to get in. And I spent 33 years trying. I had some gigs. And yeah, a couple of them were paying. That's how hard it is to get in. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to be an actor and expect to get a gig like that or to get paid like that. It doesn't go that way. But however, if you decide to work behind the scenes, that's another story. I am working behind the scenes, sort of, but I'm doing something a little different. I'm not going to reveal what it is. But however, okay, you whisk this up, of course. And this time around, I toasted it, and I made sure that I accompanied afterwards in making something else, which is the bean salad. If you want to make 3-bean casserole, you can actually open up 4 cans of black beans, kidney beans, and fava beans, whatever. If you want to make it into a 3-bean salad, you can. I'm going to still mix it up because we have to have all of it disappear. I know we're not perfect, but now, if you don't want to use plant-based milk and you want to be persistent in using eggs, go ahead, but use the egg whites. But if some reason you want to use the egg yolks, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Add like about 4 or 5 egg whites, or yeah, I don't use eggs, so so since this is a cup and I'm not a math person, let me see, 1 cup. That would be 5 eggs. Yeah, 5 eggs would be 1 cup. All right. So we mix it up. Sorry, I stalled a bit. Okay, so, but mine's definitely going to be plant-based because my age, your cholesterol will go up if you have eggs. Too many of it, meaning it is more healthier to have egg whites than egg yolks. Egg yolks have several cholesterols, but it's a little less in egg whites. I got carried away and put about 7 or 6, of course, jacked up. And it showed up just a little bit in my cholesterol test, the doctors, but I wasn't on medication and it had a chance for me to bring it down. It did. I substitute my eggs for tofu, as one day I made for you. Which segment is it in? It's in my first cooking segment that had all the vegetables in it. Okay. I decided to actually have a cooking segment since all of you are out of the cult and nobody's cooking for you and they're depriving you of food. I decided to have a cooking segment. Yes, some of the cults do deprive you of food. And depending on what cult it is, some people are out of the cult. But in Scientology, they somehow do the cooking and control everything. And that's what control groups do. So I decided to have this cooking segment. All right, it's not perfect, but a good percentage of it is gone. Yeah. And then when my career slowed down, my profession slowed down a bit, I decided to go back to school and have my degree as an instructor going into the public school system, but I somehow didn't have enough money to go back. To go into one of the colleges in the state that I'm in. So I decided to go as an aide. What school? I'm not disclosing because Scientology is going to make sure their members or critics or journalists don't get a job, or they go complain and somehow threaten the people that are there. And that person loses their job. Yeah. Which is a cruel thing to do. And plus, that's taxpayers' money right there. And in Dateline, they did not want Claire and Mark to actually tell their story about them being in Scientology. So they somehow managed to not get it aired. And their freedom of speech went out the window. And so did the TV station, even though they had the constitutional rights to have that story. But they got a lawyer, and it looks like that lawyer managed to actually get them off air. And guess what? You're paid for it out of your tax dollars. Yes, it comes. Yeah, each and every show that's aired has to deduct from taxes to pay the crew. But however, since they're gonna scavenge, and HRSA decided to manage to take it off the air. That is costing you guys money. That's taxpayers' dollars paid from you. So, and then we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Okay. Actually, you know what? Make sure it doesn't pop up so much. And it looks like you're going to have to keep adding a tablespoon, because if it disappears, that's it. Your food will stick. So. And then when you use butter and oil, make sure you wipe it off, because then it'll clog up the sink. Also, it depends how much you actually use. Okay. So I'm going to turn this down a bit, because this stove cooks awfully fast, so I have to turn it down a bit. It's on 5, believe it or not, which is supposed to be medium heat, but it's not. Looks like this one isn't. So, all right. But if you're getting a new stove and ask your salesperson how fast the oven and stovetop cooks, they would have the knowledge. But if it's a landlord, you can ask them. They might know, they might not know. But a salesperson that sells ovens definitely would know. Okay, if they don't, I don't know what to say to them. I would think a salesperson that sells stuff like this would know. So, all right. Okay, now. Oh, have to get my spatula. All right. Grab your toast that's already toasted. I'm going to see how it turns out. This is why I wanted to do it again, so I can pass that information on to you. So, take your toasted bread, soak it in. All right. It looks like it's going to work. All right. Still in its original form, and it's not falling apart. Yep, it's not falling apart in its original form. But however, I'm not going to add sugar in it, because guess what? There's already sugar in it from plant-based milk. All right, now we're going to stick it in. And I turn this on. Well, it looks like it's medium. I turned it down to 2.5, because it will fit 2, but I'd rather go with 1 so I can squish it around like this. And it looks like it's gonna work this time. Last time it really clung to the pan, so I had to do it gently, turn it over. But then I thought of this idea and wanted to bring that information back to you, so I did it again. Sorry if you think it's boring, but I wanted to pass that information on to you guys, so this is the way I did it. Okay. So I decided to add this. I know it sounds boring, and I said it before, but I wanted to add the cooking segment so I can give another resource, pass on another information that's also resource. Of course, you know, eating is meant for people to live, not live to eat, live. So, You can't die of hunger. So I decided, since some of you didn't cook in the past because of the high control group, I decided to bring it to you. So, and of course, I don't do it every day. I really don't cook every day, but every weekend, I definitely cook. Since I didn't want a big mess in the kitchen, I decided, you know what, I'm only going to have a salad or maybe the leftovers. But during the weekend, I definitely cook. So I decided to actually pass my cooking on to you, and I also going to bring you holiday cooking. I know I didn't do it for the 4th of July. I apologize, but but I baked you nazuk, which is an Armenian tea biscuit. I did it up a bit, but I also have to find a way to add an egg substitute on it. Okay, let's see if it's done. Okay, looks like it's done. Oh, perfect. It flipped right over, and I didn't have to work on it either. And the last time I had such a rough time turning it over because it's bread. But now that I toasted it, it flipped over like a charm. So and since it's milk and not eggs, it might sog a little bit more. So I decided to toast it and pass that information on to you. It worked like a charm. But is it going to taste dry? I hope not. But I don't think it'll soak. Yeah, of course, you're going to have to cut it anyway. But it worked. It flipped right over, and I did not have to work on it. So, and let's see if I can. I'm going to see if I can add Miss Kim on to the cooking segment and have her cook and everybody else cook. Yeah, I am getting into a dialogue with Miss Kim, and to have her on my show. And then I'll ask while we're on air if she wants to hop on and cook. And of course, I'm still figuring out this. And I'll get some tips from her to see if I can get it on. But yeah, I finally found what I was supposed to do to actually add a segment add a guest onto my show. Of course, it's going to take me a little while longer since I have ADHD. It's going to take me twice as long to actually learn a drill. And of course, it's a struggle having a disability, but it is a great challenge to have. I thought when I had a disability, I thought I was useless. But no, it's your disability that's doing that to you. And sometimes, you know what? A family also gets discouraged. My family didn't know where to place me while I was a little girl and what school to have me in. Of course, I got lucky because guess what? In the late 60s and early 70s, if a child got discouraged, a psychologist would recommend not sending a kid to school, and that's not always such a wise idea. And they didn't have enough information on the disability they had. Okay, this one's definitely done, so we're gonna put this right on the plate. Next one. But I decided to share it with you because, one, Scientology thinks people like us, people with disabilities, should be thrown away. Of course, that upset me, and that gave me the cause to get in there and fight, because that's what Scientology wants. They want to fight with people. But guess what? We're not going to let them get away with it. So get in touch with law enforcement and your mental health provider and see what they can do to contribute. Yeah, contribute, but they can't do much since the Constitution guarantees them to their right to religion, but their religion is a cult and they're usually destructive. But it's hard to actually enforce the law since the Constitution guarantees them the freedom of religion. But of course, my opinion, if you bully, stalk, harass, launder money, steal it, or murder, it shouldn't be considered a religion at all. So that's what we're trying to do. Of course, you know, Audit LA is getting out there, and she is going to all the meetings, fighting for everybody to get out of Scientology. And believe it or not, one of them is sitting on the board, police advisory board. Yeah, a police advisory board, which is the last place you expect to have a cult member be it. But yeah, usually cult members are very destructive, and yeah. But yeah, and she's trying her best. Of course, nobody's seen her since, and of course, Mona and Audit LA are a little worried. Should they be worried? Yeah, of course. It's still a human being. But at the same time, she's been making people's life a living hell. She even killed a dog. And us as animal rights activists should step in and say, no way. Not only you don't treat people awful, you don't treat animals that way either. So, where's my tape? Oh, okay. Add another tablespoon because it looks like it's fading. There. And I usually use olive oil. So, but I don't have it every day, so this is going to last me at least somewhere between 6 and 8 months, or maybe to a year. But I think it's going to fade away in 8 months, maybe 9 months. But of course, I don't use oil that much, so that's how long it's going to last me. Okay, then flip it over. It's working because guess what? It's not falling apart, and I don't have to work hard at it. So, all right, each and every time, I think I'm going to actually. Okay. All right, and then we're going to take it out and put it into the pan. All right, it's not sticking. I need a paper towel because my hands are all wet. All right, so then, here we go. And it works because guess what? Still together and it's not falling apart. So toast it and then soak it. Okay. Swish it around, and when you need to flip it over, use the spatula. Of course, you don't want to dare to use your hands to flip it over to burn yourself, of course. So you need the spatula. Let's see if I can get everyone, including Amy Scobie, Claire Headley, oh, said her name wrong, Natalie Webster. But Natalie Webster definitely has a busy schedule. And I'll ask some of the guys if they want to pop on too. But first, Miss Kinman, actually in the process of also learning how to control all the gadgets that's in the computer to invite a guest on. And I did figure it out, but it's not taking Miss Kin's name. But so I'm working on it. So I don't know if it's the computer program or. Oh, I see. Is any of you popping on? Let's see. No, okay, but you will still get it since it's going to be aired. Hopefully, it'll be wall to wall me, but it depends on the internet. When people put out information or a show, it ranks them by the title. Of course, my titles, I always work on it being in the same order, in the same thing by percentage. I usually have it on 80 to 95, which will be in that category with all the other anti-cults and Scientologies. So, especially when I want to add a cooking segment, I have to add the cult or Scientology working into the title so it can rank better. And what is the people in Scientology thinking? Oh, they're exploiting me. That's what David Miscavige and Tom Cruise are thinking. But you know what? They're doing it to their members by making them work slave wages. So they shouldn't talk. They're exploiting them. That's another thing. If they are paying them low wages, and usually cult members do, they give them anywhere between $50 to $100, which is not much to live off of. So 90% of the time they end up on the street, but Scientology for some reason is giving them a roof over the head, but that's not enough. They need the food. Women need all the essentials such as pads, tampons. I'm not saying this to embarrass myself or any other women, but that's one of them. And for men, they need shaving cream, razors, all the necessities they need, but don't have enough money for. So, and of course, as you know, Scientology has tax exempt status. So, David Miscavige, yeah, he is a piece of work. Not only he's a bully, he is actually living a high lifestyle. He's living like royalty while everybody's working like a slave with $47. And people keep calling me selfish, but yes, it's something else. He's got to be, yes, there are selfish people out there in the world. I can be selfish from time to time, a little bit. Of course, we all have a selfish streak. But this character, oh, forget it. He's as selfish as hell. And for some reason, his buddy Tom Cruise is tolerating it. And, of course, people in the industry don't really say much. But he did almost got fired. According to Alan Smith Levin, he did almost commit career suicide by going off on his own and doing something that he wasn't supposed to do and nearly costed him his contract. So, do we wish he did? Yeah, because a percentage of the film that he makes, 1 million of it goes to the slave labor that David Miscavige has. He thinks it's going towards reading programs and these front groups. And of course, that's the reason why they call it a front group is because it's not real. So, of course, David Miscavige has this pretend organizations. Now let's see if he can conjure up a unicorn. Let's see if he can make a unicorn appear. And they also claim to have superpowers. No. Now, prayers and spells will help a little bit, but not as much. You're going to have to actually do something to actually get it. So praying and spells alone or whatever is you're doing is sometimes not enough. So you're going to have to find ways to actually get it. So you can't live by prayer alone. Sorry. So you're going to have to take steps in having it. Of course, there's people with mental illness. Of course, I have mental illness. I'm bipolar. So I have to live day-to-day life with medication. And that would manage my symptoms. That's why they do ask you if you want to actually be on medication because that's their job. But at the same time, they can't force people to be on medication. That's what they learn, actually. I think that's what they learn in school. But otherwise, the doctors, the psychiatrists have a medical degree. And of course, since Scientology does everything illegal, they even license people, they even hire people who are not licensed to actually be doctors. So that's what we're up in arms about. So L. Ron Hubbard's death that contributed in his death, it was an unlicensed doctor. He did not have a medical license, so that one of the things that contributed in costing his life. All right, now we're going to see if we can flip this one over. Yes, we can. So we flip it over. And there it is. I decided, of course, I'm not going to repeat myself again. I hope this information that I brought you this week is there. But I'm also going to make a bean salad, so I made sure it's not really boring. So there we go. All right. And then after this is done, we're going to soak the next bread. Or toast, whatever. Okay, so then we swirl it around. It did work. I am so happy that it worked this time around. And I might bring you the falafel recipe again because at the end it was a little bit too salty. So either wait till the next segment or don't add salt in it. Or add about maybe a pinch. But however, usually I don't put salt in my food, but I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. But, and of course, do I like to cook? I think it's okay. But I'm actually trying to cut back on what I eat. Of course, you can tell I'm just a little bit heavy in the belly. So I decided to actually not have lunch unless I'm actually out working. And of course, I don't want Scientology to know where I am. So I don't mention the location that I'm at. Because I can't have them tell the employees not to hire me or coerce them or or threaten their lives. So I'm not going to even disclose the information. I don't even say my name that much. I do mention my name sometimes. If you want to know my name, it's Nisa. Am I going to give you my last name? No. If I do, I'm going to give you the abbreviated version. All right. All right. And plus, I'm a little luckier, even though I got hacked by OSA, because the only stories I did so far are from Scientology, and I figured out that it was them, since all the clips were gone when I actually went back on from the help of Hewlett Packard. Now, I'll thank Hewlett Packard for helping me get back online. Thank you, Hewlett Packard. So, if you got hacked, call the company that made your computer. And in my case, it was Hewlett Packard. So remember, if anybody hacks into your computer where it's Scientology or the control groups, contact the company that made your computer. All right. And see what they can do for you. And of course, mine did. Okay. All right. And I got back, and it was Scientology's worst nightmare. And here I am. Now, I can stay on it just a little while longer. I have like 20 minutes. People stuck around for about 20 minutes. It has to be longer because, of course, you know, these things happen. So I'm not going to say why, because I can't have them have a grudge against me. So I don't want to say anything not positive. So. And now, is anybody outside my door following me? So, as far as I know, no. I think I'm one of the luckiest ones because nobody's outside my door trying to film me. And I don't see anybody following me with their car, usually. So I'm lucky. I got lucky because I took precautions in seeing my watching my surroundings. So. All right, this is almost done. Okay. It's gonna look like I'm gonna add another teaspoon to it since my face. Or I can see if it'll take it anyway. I'm gonna see first if it's gonna take it anyway. Since it's swirling around easy without a problem, I'm gonna check on it. So let's see, what else is there to talk about? All right, and we remember the Father's Day event that took place. They had food and it was definitely a party on Father's Day. Let's see if we can have future parties with me at one of the orgs that I'm at. But the closest org to me is on the other side of the county that I'm in. So I'm working on a big group of people. I'm working on going out there as a group because guess what? I am not going out there by myself. So I'm suggesting that you guys go out there as a group, not by yourself, because these people are crazy. So go out as a group. Don't go protesting by yourself because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I did go on a protest, but it was with other individuals in a group. setting. Now, it might have been about, let's see. Okay. It was a group of 5 to 7 people. So I wasn't out there by myself. We were protesting a restaurant that's faux grass goose or duck. What they do is force feed them by putting a tube down their throat and force feeding them. And then they take their liver, pull it out, and then the restaurant cooks it. That's what we were protesting. Now, I am working on a Scientology protest, but I'm going there with a group. I'm not going out there by myself. Forget it. So you don't know what would happen. Was the police there? Not really. They came and gone, but there were no arrests. So yes, the police was called. Usually it's common in the protest. And we weren't breaking any laws, but he was very professional. He told us to make sure the sidewalk was clear so people can walk by. And he says we were within our rights to be there, so he didn't have to make arrests, so he left. Nobody was violent. It was very peaceful. Thank God. But I did clear the sidewalk. So usually I listen to whatever the police officer tells me to do. So I cleared the sidewalk. I didn't fall into the street, so don't worry. So I was on somewhere between the curb and the sidewalk. I was like maybe a foot away from it, but the sidewalk was pretty big, so there wasn't many people walking by, but I still cleared the sidewalk. But he came and gone. He didn't make any arrests. So. All right, but yes, I am working on going to one of the orgs, but I did put a request on Facebook. So everybody, if you want to protest Scientology, go to Facebook, go to animal rights. I did post. Put your name down and your email address, and I'll contact you through email. Now, if you don't put your email there, then I'm not going to know. And of course, if one of you guys in the OSA tried to stalk me, I took precautions. Meaning, if you try to physically hurt me, you'll get yours. Not only I'm going to call the police and they will do their job, because the guys down the street from me, they will arrest you. So if you put me in danger and follow me home, I will call them and they will guarantee that you will be arrested, because those guys do their job accurately. So remember to put your email address so I can contact you. Otherwise, I'm not going to know. So make sure you put your email address down. And I'll let you know where to meet. And then we'll make the signs and make plans, because guess what? Scientology has cameras everywhere. So this came up with William Good. He has his residence in Los Angeles. And of course, everybody in the SPTV community know that William Good came up with this idea. Not only it hit the airways in his town that he's living in, but the United States and the world, because it was in several languages. Of course, you know, Mindy was on there. Jessica was on there. I think the two Chris's were on there. Chris with Confident Chris and Chris Without a Hellcat was on there, I think. But everyone was on there, and it was in a different language, and I loved hearing it. I'm that kind of person. I love culture, and my father actually brought me up on culture, especially my Armenian culture, but other cultures as well. He exposed me to all these other cultures. Not only we went to Armenian restaurants, we went to other restaurants, and lucky enough, we also went to his favorite Italian restaurant. Yes, it's an Italian restaurant. It's Greg's in Cambridge, on the edge of Watertown and Cambridge. It borders it. Do I live there? I am not telling you. So, but sorry, Osa, no such luck. All right, so yes, I'm not disclosing my information on where I am, because sad enough, they ended up in the doorstep of Jacob. He's one of the protesters. Now, he did turn the tables on them, which they deserve, because they're not stopping anytime soon. But he was also being just a little bit careless in his driving. So I'm saying, Jake, please be a little bit more careful. I know they're careless themselves, but don't do what they're doing, even though it's okay to actually stick the camera in their face and then follow them. But you also have to be cautious in the way you're driving. So, although people said it was wrong in all aspects, but at the same time, they need to be taught a lesson. That's what the cameras were, that the protesters were holding, was for, to turn the tables on them, to see if they like being coerced, harassed, intimidated, because that was the only way. I know it continued, but they're not stopping. They think they have the right to do that, even though they have the right of religion. Although it's not a religion, they're hiding behind the Fourth Amendment. So, but they're not a business. They're just saying that to get tax exempt status and be immune from prosecution. But usually, people in religions don't get prosecuted that much, because there was a case of a priest who killed the nun by assaulting her and then killing her. He wasn't arrested because one of the police officers in the state that he was living in gave him a free pass. So he died of a heart attack. But however, I think if you're able to commit that crime, you're able to face prosecution. And that's what we're trying to change. So, all right, take this out. I know I'm being a chatterbox, but I can't have that air either, or else forget it. My channel won't work. Okay, so then we're gonna, I got 2 more pieces of bread, and I need, well, let me try it, see if it'll work. Yeah, okay, so I don't need to put more oil in it. Thing. Oh boy. All right, so I'm just gonna, yeah, sticking it there, so I'm gonna have to add another tablespoon. I definitely don't want it fried either, neither do you, so. All righty, there we go. So each and every time I put a new one in, we're gonna put a tablespoon, because you don't want fried French toast, no. And I put it back because it's right there. Okay, so put in a tablespoon each time. so it's easy to work with. All right, so there we go. Now, olive oil is a little better for you. So I put a little bit in my food. I don't use fat all the time. Okay. All right. You see how it's moving around, so, and it was sticking a little bit, so I had to add one more tablespoon in it. But otherwise, it worked like a charm. Toasting it in advance because of the milk substitute, the eggs worked. Is it authentic? No, because guess what? I'm not French. Now, my sister-in-law is from Belgium. They speak French, so it's possible that hers are authentic. She grew up. Oh, I am so proud of her, but she doesn't want me talking about her life, so I'm open to it because guess what? Once you get into the entertainment industry as a talent, things will happen. Now, either you'll get called or not, even if you get all the way in, which is like 1%. Out of 1 million people out there in the world choose to enter the entertainment field, 1 out of 1 million would be a celebrity. That's the way it is. Otherwise, 5% will make it and earn money, but it'll be a while. But yeah, that's just the way it goes. Do people get upset? Maybe, maybe not. With me, I've been in the industry for years, but I have to take rejections. But the last time I was on, now, SPTV is a network, but it's for individuals. So if you're an individual and want to do it, he thinks, you know what, go ahead and do it. All right. Okay, done. All right, this is starting to hard, but done. Okay. All right. Now, each and every time, if it's a vegan recipe, each and every time put about a tablespoon of oil each time, because you don't want your toast to be sticking to your pan. Since this is the vegan version, yeah, the milk will make it go soggy and it will stick. So make sure you toast it first. And it did work. I toasted it first and it worked like a charm because it's still together. Of course, the last time I was lucky and managed to get it flipped over and it was still together. But you know what? It was harder to work on. And I don't know how you guys did it your end. So I did it again. And this time I brought information saying I toasted it first. So do that the same way. So, oh boy. All right. Okay. Now keep working on it. And slide it. All right, it looks like it's going to start to stick, but the other two didn't. Of course, I put this in first before putting the olive oil, and of course, it didn't do as well. So I wanted to try it out and see if it works, but it didn't. So each and every time you put new French toast, then it will work. Now, I won't be back later since it's morning and we have brunch. But every weekend I will be doing a recipe. So yeah, ignore that ring because guess what? Oh well, whoever it is, I'll call them back. Of course, my brother probably trying to call me, and I'm with you guys, so I'm not going to pick him up. So I'll see if it was him later. 90% of the time it's telemarketers, and I want to tell them to get lost. But you know what? I'm going to check with Walmart to see if their gift card has been given to a company. And if not, then I'll bring that information to you too, because some company says they have something when they really don't. But in this case, they wanted to give a Walmart gift card. But I'm going to call corporate and see if they gave out any gift cards. All right, so then, okay, it's ready. It fell apart a little bit since I didn't put the oil in. All right, looks like I'm going to have to add another tablespoon in because it didn't go all over. So each and every time, put 1 tablespoon in because it doesn't look like it's going to work without it. So, because it will stick. Since it's milk and not eggs, it's definitely going to stick. Okay. All righty, there we go. Now, all right. Okay, I got one more after this. Then we're going to stick it right in. Now, this is one of the resources I want to bring to all of you who just escaped from the cult. But all of you who are still watching and not in the cult and want to participate in it, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. I'm excited that people are using my recipes. I might mess up. Of course, I'm not frugal and I'm not a professional chef. So, okay. But Jenna is frugal, and it looks like she would do better than me, but I would go and get her recipes. And Samuel from I think it's Germany, he has excellent recipe. He's a chef, so go on to his channel and get his recipes. It is unbelievable. But oh my gosh, his accent is so cute. I love it. Of course, I don't mind any accent. Of course, I grew up on culture. My father brought me up on culture, so of course I'm into culture. So yeah, early on in my life, my father got me into culture of all kinds, not just our culture, which is Armenian. And he's also from Turkey. He grew up in one of the villages in Turkey. Of course, it sounds exciting, does he? So I'm part Turkish because both my parents, mom from Istanbul, which is a town, a city. I think it's, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a city in Turkey. She lived there up until the age of 26. Then she moved here with my father and their young son at the time, which is my older brother. And of course, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. But am I there? I'm not telling you. So, oops. Oh boy. All right. Okay. Now, swirl it around. And it did actually work. Toasting it worked like a charm. So do that first. All right. And last week I bought you also a potato salad recipe. But you know what? It looked a little bit too much, so put like 1/4 of a cup in. But maybe I'll do it again, but in the future I won't do it this time. But if you love herbs and you didn't mind it being in, great. Otherwise, it was a little bit too much, though. Although in my case, I love herbs. I love the smell of herbs. I work with herbs in my cooking all the time. But, you know, of course, I work with spices all the time. In my recipe, I love garlic. And I think that's classified as an herb. Okay. Do I love to cook? It's fine. Something to live off of. Of course, you're going to have to eat to live, not live to eat. But, however, okay. And, yeah. Did I have an exciting life? It was okay. Of course, my disability, which is ADHD, wasn't on the map until 86. So I spent years struggling. And by the time I got into high school, it was placed on the map in 1986. And of course, I was discouraged from being in any classroom of any kind unless it's easy. Which, I guess if it was just actually introduced to the world as a disability in 1986, I was already a teenager, and it was a little late, but you know what? They did not have any of the kids tested. They just brought in psychiatrists, but they didn't test us, but they didn't do any better because each and every time my father hired a tutor, that's another thing. They don't have any tutoring in the high school that I went to. I don't know what they're doing now. They might not. But my father hired a tutor. He probably thought they weren't doing so great. So he hired a tutor. Of course, I did succeed because I do know how to read. So I do not fit the category under not knowing how to read because I did. I might run into words every now and then, but my reading is good. It's about 85%. Now, if I run into a word that I don't know, then yeah, I'm going to have a rough time. If I didn't see the word before in my life, then yeah. Now, there are, I think, over 20,000 words, maybe more, every day that we don't know about. And some people are able to read it, some don't. But you know what? If they definitely know how to read and don't have a disability, then yes. But I definitely know how to read, and I recognize each and every word. So, in the moment I decided to go back to school, I got on medication, and it worked like a charm because I did succeed. Although I did flunk a couple of courses, but you know what? I did it and received some A's in the courses I took, C's and B's. But otherwise, I did fine. But nowadays, ADHD and ADD is on the map. So parents, if you know your young child from a young age has a disability, take him to your mental health provider and get him or her tested because it's essential to their education. Okay. All right. So mental health is one of the platforms I'm using to fight cults and science and cults like Scientology rejecting any kind of mental health, and it's all because of the beef, the problems that L. Ron Hubbard had with the psychiatrist that laughed him out of the room. That's why they don't believe in psychiatry. And it's all because of L. Ron Hubbard carrying a grudge against them. So that's why they don't believe in psychiatry. If David Miscavige or Tom Cruise say otherwise, they're lying. If they say there's no such thing as mental health, they're lying. Now, David Miscavige has been evil his entire life. Tom Cruise went from good to evil. And you saw the way he treated his crew and the cast, because the cast did complain about it. His co-star in Night and Day did express it, and I thought she was going to cry. But all right, now, okay, flip it over. See if it's ready. Yeah, it's ready. All right. All right. Now, yeah, it's not going to actually move around as much. So I have to put another tablespoon in. Yeah, since it's plant-based, you have to add like a teaspoon in every second. But I don't cook foods like this every day. I usually either have fruit or a bowl of cereal. I usually have fruit in the morning, so. Okay. Oh, here it is. We're going to put in another tablespoon so it doesn't stick. Now, Samuel, if you think it's too much, I'm sorry. I'm a vegan, but what do you think I should do, Samuel? So, of course, I don't have my email on there. And of course, guess what? Scientology is not going to hack into my computer anymore because guess what? Hewlett Packard said they're going to have a hard time hacking into my computer since they took over. So I'd rather them look after my computer since I'm not a computer expert. And my brother isn't, although he thinks he is. So I have them close by. I do have a new computer. He bought it, but he put a parental control on it. So I have to stick to this computer because I can't get into the other one since that one was hacked by OSA too. So, all right. And I know it was OSA because guess what? I got on to this computer and all my clips of my anti-Scientology cult were gone. They were deleted, so it was them. So, all right. Okay, this is my last one. I'm going to make sure each and every bit is soaked. Okay. All righty. All right, there it is, my last one. Okay. And then we're going to work on our bean salad. All right. All right. Now, I'm hoping I get more than one person on this side, it looks like it's going to be only one for now. So I'm going to see if Miss Kim will get into a chat in the middle of one of her protests and join in on her until I get out there with a group of people. So if you're protesting, it's a wise idea not to show up by yourself, because 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you don't know what you're getting into. I mean, the person that you might be protesting could be dangerous. But, and in this case, Scientology is a destructive cult and they are dangerous. So I'm not just going to go right out there. So I'm going to go out in a group and we're going to come in different cars and only use an amount of cars and make sure nobody is following us, because Scientology is capable of having detectives or private investigators follow us. So that's why we have to work on getting their tax exempt status revoked. Now, I sent a couple of emails to this one congressperson, but she did not respond. Now, either she doesn't know what Scientology is, or she does and doesn't want to do anything about it, because guess what? They come off looking like they're nice, but in reality, they did not. Did she talk to Tom Cruise? Possibly. Maybe. I don't know. I can't get into her head. But at the same time, I haven't heard from her, but there's this one person pending, and we might have a shot with him. Now, that's what the SPTV space is for. So go on to SPTV space and email your local Congress to ask them how they would feel if they consider having hearings and having Scientology's tax exempt status revoked. Ask them that and tell them the reasons why you want their tax exempt status revoked. Because first of all, they do not serve the purpose of the tax exempt status like an original church does or any other nonprofit does. They use it, the leader uses it to spend money on a bunch of real estate. He uses the tax exempt status to enrich his life. And he's also using slave labor. So that's one of the reasons why I want their tax exempt status revoked. And those people can't help what they do. They are brainwashed. Do they know they're brainwashed? Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them just would even brainwash themselves, and it can be done. We do it cautiously and uncautiously. Me, would I do it deliberately? No. But so that's where the doctors come in. So I see my mental health provider. I'm doing very well, so I don't have to see mine until I think September, maybe October, somewhere there. But I am doing fine. I'm functioning. I don't need to see her on a weekly basis. I'm doing great. So. All right. And then after this, I will make a bean salad. So, and am I hungry? Oh, yes, because I haven't had my meal yet. So I'm on air with you. I haven't had my morning coffee, so I'm grouchy a little bit. But yeah, you can't tell. So I am being so nice, you guys. So, and that's my nature of things. If I see something that's wrong, and I know it would be, I am going to put my foot down and say, no way, you cannot pull this off, not with me. Because you cannot put people's lives at risk and think it's okay. And this is OSA. So you do the same thing. If you're the fighting kind, fine. Put your foot down and say, no, you're not getting away with this. And the way to do it is contact your local congressperson. Go to the SPTV space and find the state that you're living in and write to that local congressperson and ask them how they would feel about having hearings and having Scientology's tax-exempt status revoked. So they won't hurt another soul again, and they won't waste our money or tax dollars. Because guess what? When I was working, and I knew that all the money that they were using costed us money at the same time, I'm thinking, you know what? These people, yeah, they're horrible at that. So, and plus, my nephew, who's now out of college and working, he wants to find a house, but he can't because the price is over his budget, and it's because of groups like Scientology. Because they do nothing but waste our tax-exempt status, so they have to take it out on our tax dollars and everything else that they have to include tax land and taxes to buy our house. And he's been having a rough time buying the house because of groups like Scientology. So remember that. They affect everything we do and how we live. Now, they might not think so, of course. But some of them can't pay for everything because they get very little money. So, all right, done. Flip it over. Let the other side brown. And then at the end, I'll show you what it looks like. So how long is it been? Ooh, it's been a good hour. Okay. So, sorry if you think I'm boring, but okay. So this has to brown a little more. So, yeah. I mean, they cost us so much. So, guess what? My nephew's still living with his mother. Of course, they do have great jobs. One of them actually works as an accountant. I'm not going to say which one. So, and my one other niece is in Chicago. She's working as a nurse. Where in Chicago? What's her name? I'm not telling you. So I'm proud of all three of those kids. So, and does my sister-in-law want me to talk about them? No, but they're also grown adults now, so I would say tough. They're grown adults. If they want me not to talk about them, they should tell them themselves. I'll respectfully not talk about them if they choose not to let me talk about them. So, and all those memories I have of them are so good. and it was grand. All those Christmases and all those holidays. It was great. But I'll save the holiday talk for when it's actually that holiday. So, but yes, do I have any brothers and sisters? Yes, I have one older brother that I talked about. Do I want to say his name? No, because I do not want to actually say his name or give out the information that he's living in. I don't want to even do that. And he doesn't want that to happen because guess what? One of his friends or colleagues called to ask about him. And he didn't want me to do that. So that was the end. So I'm not going to do it again. I'll just say, if everybody says, if so-and-so is there, I'm going to say, no, you got the wrong number and hang up. So that's it. Oops. Oh, boy. Although the other one succeeded, this one has a hole in it. But you know what? Sorry in advance. But the other ones turned out fine since I toasted. I toasted it big time before put it onto the pan. Although I did succeed in getting it out of pan and it was still together, but I didn't know how you guys did, so I decided to do it all over again. Oh. So then, okay. So, am I on the listen of the SPTV network? No. And I have to work on telling Buffer Squirrel, excuse me, to get me on the listing because she has everybody else on the listing, but not me. So, everybody out there, go to Buffer Squirrel and tell her to put me on the listing. But I'm not doing anything. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I'm not threatening anybody. I'm definitely not threatening her. But I don't know how she's feeling. But I haven't gotten contact with her last weekend. So this week I'm definitely gonna. Yeah, I think she's probably deliberately leaving me out. But she's not gonna say anything. But and there is infighting going on, but I'm not going to participate in it. So, all right. Well, I'm going to declare this one's done. There. Now to shut off the heat. And now we're going to make the bean salad. So, I'm going to grab this. Of course, this is what I used the oatmeal on that I cooked yesterday. Or not cooked. Prepared yesterday, and that will save you money in buying milk. But if you want to put like calcium in there and protein, even though this does have protein, doesn't have calcium in it. Let me check. Okay. Of course, I need my glasses, and I did not bring my glasses here. Let's see. Calcium. No, it doesn't have any calcium in it. So it looks like you're going to have to get a calcium powder form or tablet. But check with your pharmacist. They might advise you not to use it in food. Although the fiber thing. Oh, yeah, here it is. You can add this to the oat milk. And does it actually have calcium in it? Well, No, it doesn't really look like it, so that's the end of it. So you can stick this in there, but do they have a form of calcium? I don't know. Check with your pharmacist. Now, if you go to Walmart, check with the pharmacist there. They might not know, but usually they know since they're working with chemical-like substance. So ask them. I would think they know something about it since they're working with chemicals and chemical-like substance and pills, and so ask them. Okay. Now we're gonna get our beans. Now, all right. Put in your beans. Make sure all of it's in there. And this one, at the time, I thought it was great that they have something like this to slide it off. Of course, the edges stick to it, and sometimes I can't get the pasta or the beans out, and it sticks to the edge, so it's a pain in the neck to me. So when you buy something like this, make sure that you can get every single thing out. But it's really handy, and it keeps you from actually holding the colander while pouring your pasta in. So there we go. There. Got your beans. All right. I'm going to put these away. I know I said I was going to put it away after I was done. So here we go. I'm going to put this one up there. Okay. Now, I need my oregano. Oh, that's not oregano. Ow. Parsley flakes. There's a little bit left. Grab this parsley flakes. Okay. And there's my oregano. Now, usually herbs and spices add about 5 years. How old is this one? Of course, I don't know. And I don't have my glasses with me, but I don't want to spend time going to get my glasses. So, okay. So, okay. All right. Got the olive oil. Okay. All right. Now, add a half a cup of oil. We're going to make the dressing for the beans. A cup of olive oil. Okay, there it is. And now we're going to put this away. Now, don't forget to wipe off anything that has butter or oil in it. And it looks like there is some left. But if it's like tiny bits, eventually, yeah, it will eventually in the future, it'll clog it up. So, but if it's more than what you usually use, then yes, take a paper towel, wipe it off before you throw it in the sink. Okay. And then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Okay. All right, that should do it with that. Put the lemon juice away so I can have more room. All right, and then you add, here it is. My teaspoon. Okay, let's see. All right. Now, add about 3 teaspoons of oregano. Of course, this might expire, but usually it's okay if you use it. But it looks like I'm going to have to use 4 of these. Oh, about 6 of these since I can't find my teaspoon and it's really in the sink. Good night. Okay, here's 1 teaspoon. 2 teaspoons. And then 3 teaspoons. Okay, there we go. That's 3. It went over a little, so it's okay. So should be 3 teaspoons in there. So, all right. Then we have to take a fork. Then whisk it. And it should come out. And it's going to be all herby. And oh my God, it's going to be so incredible. Now, this is my mother's recipe. So this is the recipe she had. Or was it supposed to be half a cup? Yeah, I did add half a cup. Okay, half a cup olive oil and then 3 tablespoons of the lemon juice. Then you add 3 teaspoons of oregano. Or was it 2? Well, if you love your herbs and you don't mind it's 3 tablespoons, then okay. But a little much, but maybe it was supposed to be 2 teaspoons. I can't remember, but you know what? Okay, then we're gonna add 1/4 cup of parsley. Of course, I'm gonna use this first. Now, okay. Oh, the herbs are the greatest thing to ever use. So then, of course, that one's empty. One more. Oh, geez. I didn't like that. All right. Maybe just a tad more. All right, there we go. Dump it in. All right. Now, I'm not as great as Samuel. He's frugal and he's definitely a chef, so ask him about the bean salad. If it turns out a certain way you want to ask him, go right ahead. I won't get hurt. But do I get my feelings hurt? Yes, I do get my feelings hurt really fast because I am sensitive. Besides me having the issues that I have. But of course, it's not the same issues that DOA has, that Scott Holstander has, because I don't think he's seeing any kind of doctor at all. So if you run into him, anybody, tell him to go see a mental health professional because he's out of control. So, okay. So then we stir this around. Oh, yes, and it's really herby. Yeah, the 1/4 does great. So make sure it's 1/4 cup parsley. But if it's fresh, yeah, add about a cup of it. But if it's dried up in pieces, yeah, add about 1/4. And it's pretty good. It's balanced and everything. See? All right. So, all right. Now we're going to add this in. Add our dressing in. Oh, the dressing looks great. It's balanced very, very well. But if Samuel says add a little bit more in, yeah, go ahead and do it. He's the chef. I'm not. He's very frugal. I'm not. And so is Jenna. So, I'm not frugal or traditional. I'm not the traditional woman, and I'm not the traditional cultured woman. I'm not traditional anything. So, okay. All right, then we dump it in. Now, you can also use this for salads. Okay. Now, I hope my brother didn't call, but if it's a telemarketer, hey, so what? But yeah, I am going to check to see if my brother called me because usually my sister-in-law is not around, so guess what? She asked him to take me shopping, but you know what? It happens, but so okay. Do I have my own car? No. Do I want one? Yes. So I am trying to work on it, but right now, a used car would cost $4,000. If it's any less than that, then it's going to be a wreck. So I don't want to drive in a lemon car. So okay, so then that's it. You're all set. Let me get a bowl for this. All right. The mixing bowl. All right. Dump this in there. Oh, it really came out really great. Now, I am trying to balance my lemon juice and olive oil. Okay. Now, you all know that beans are filled with fiber, and you need it every day, especially when you're a vegetarian and don't eat meat or protein or poultry. Here it is. All right. Now, hit the like, press subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow with the Jehovah Witness story. So, see you tomorrow.